morning and welcome to another fresh edition of your program Inside Nigeria. Thank God it's Friday. Incidentally, today's program is the last in the week of February. My name is Winifred Weber, your host on the program. Of course, we want to apologize for coming a bit behind schedule. We're experiencing some technical glitches. However, let's go over to the business of the day. On today's program, we want to review some newspapers, including Nigeria's foremost Friday newspaper, Leadership Friday. Leadership Friday's leading story today says fuel distribution pipeline rehabilitation faces fresh challenges. Experts say no viable product conveyor belts. Funding causes setback. We have to address tanker explosion incidents. I'll take that leading story today once again, and is leading on Leadership Friday. Today is Friday, February 7, 2025. Fuel distribution pipeline rehabilitation faces fresh challenges. Experts say no viable products conveyor belts. Funding causes setback. We have to address tanker explosion incidents. Leading story once again on Leadership Friday. And of course, from that we move over to the Leadership Gold Standard Awards feature series. Today's series is on the Group Managing Director, Leadership Group Limited, Muazu Elize, presenting award nomination letter to the Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, as Public Service Person of the Year 2024 at the Customs House in Abuja. Congratulations to the Comptroller General of Customs. And in response to that, he said, "I'm grateful for this gesture from leadership. This is a testament that the society is watching what is going on." Moving away from Leadership Gold Standards Award series, we look at other news gracing the cover of Leadership this day, Friday. Reps get proposals for 31 additional states. Moving towards the mindset of Leadership Friday, we have on the business bus, will surprise GHL is appealing favorable court ruling. That is First Bank Council. Of course, it's a developing story between GHL and First Bank and its chairman, Femi Otedola. Today says we are surprised GHL is appealing favorable in court ruling, First Bank Council. From that, we move to the story beside the mindset of leadership. Residents wail as fire razes houses, cows in Kano. That takes us to the stories about the mindset of Leadership Friday. Tinubu ends Union Abuja VC crisis, sacks Mekudi. Of course, there has been a crisis and controversies trailing the appointment of the VC since how many weeks ago, since our appointment. And of course, President Bola Tinubu waded in yesterday with the sack of the VC. Beside that, we have bandits kidnap NYSC DG, others in Katsina. The story runs on page 7 of Leadership Friday. From that, we move to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. Today's stand is on FCT landowners 300 billion naira debt. FCT landowners 300 billion naira debt. I'll take snipers from that stand. Don't forget, today's stand is the editorial stand of the paper. It says since Barrister Nyesom Wike assumed duty as the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory in 2023, tremendous changes have taken place in the nation's capital. Some of these changes, especially in the sphere of infrastructure development, have improved the living conditions of the residents. The collection of this debt is essential for the FCT's financial sustainability. The 300 billion naira owed to the FCT is a significant amount that can be used to fund critical infrastructure, provide essential services, and support the overall development of the capital city. Paragraphs from today's stand on Leadership Friday. FCT landowners 300 billion naira debt. From our stand, we move over to the back page of the paper where we have conversation with Azu. Azu Isiekwe is the editor-in-chief of Leadership Newspaper Limited. And today's conversation he's writing on From America First to America Alone, the lab meets the street. And in quotes, America is losing its way alone and aloof in a brazen insularity that evokes pity and surprise in equal measure, even amongst its harshest critics. Quotes from today's conversation with Azu, From America First to America Alone, the lab meets the street. And just before we leave that, we move over to Ghana Must Go, of course, the human parts of Leadership newspaper. News Kemi Badenoch, immigrants should wait 15 years for British citizenship. And guess what the answer is? What's the difference with Trump? Well, you have to find out. Well, for continuation of conversation with Azu, Inside Stories, the editorial today, and the continuation of headline stories, don't forget to log on to www.leadership.ng for more. From Leadership Friday, we move over to the next paper on our menu this Friday, and that is Vanguard. Vanguard says Opera as IGP PSC clash over retirement of police officers. And the kickers, IGP has no powers to stop PSC, retired DIG. It's about self-preservation, retired AIG. I don't see this as IGP rejecting our decision, PSC PRO. Affected 7 officers sue PSC. I'll take that once again. Opera as IGP PSC, that is Police Service Commission, clash over retirement of police officers. The story runs on page 8 of Vanguard. Beneath that leading story, we have another second leading story on Vanguard this Friday. Followers of Trump's executive order in Nigeria. Program stoppage, job losses, trade USAID funds freeze. USAID affiliated NGOs shutting down. Program disruptions from USAID fund freeze. It would have negative impact on Nigeria, Ezechi. Judge blocks Trump's executive order voiding birthright citizenship. Kickers to that second leading story on Vanguard this Friday. Followers of Trump's executive order in Nigeria. Program stoppage, job losses, trade USAID funds freeze. Still on Vanguard, Kano's release will bring peace, Reps panel. Sharia will ignite war in Southwest, coming from the chief imam of Yoruba land. Of course, this also has been a controversial issue with the Sultan of Sokoto backing the implementation of Sharia in Southwest region. However, today's Vanguard story, one of the stories on the cover of Vanguard says Sharia will ignite war in Southwest from the chief imam of Yoruba land. MAN, that is Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, cautions against further hike in electricity tariff. Is also a developing stories. Let's see how it goes. Some reports have it that they are planning 65% hike in electricity tariff. However, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has warned against it. UK citizenship, but they're not doing single Nigeria out for a ministry. SNYSC DG Siga orders abducted in Katsina. Now sports. 2025 under-17 AFCON. Nigeria's World Cup hopes dashed as CAF rules out golden inglets. And with that, we move to the stories about the masthead of Vanguard. Court charges to go up 15% as MPA pushes for efficiency. Minister pushes for transition from 934 to 12-4 system of education. Of course, Nigeria has been practicing, initially Nigeria was practicing 6334 system. It was further abridged to 934. And now the current minister is pushing for 12-4 system of education. Lastly, on the cover of Vanguard, Reps Constitution Review Panel proposes creation of 31 more states. And with that, we'll conclude review of front headline stories today on Vanguard newspaper. For continuation of these headline stories and inside stories, don't forget to log on to the website of Vanguard. And from Vanguard, we move to the next paper we have on our menu this Friday, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian says lawmakers push for 31 new states amid 11.47 trillion naira debt by existing ones. It is a story that runs on page 6 of The Guardian. Lawmakers push for 31 new states amid 11.47 trillion naira debt by existing ones. We have the pictures of the Speaker of the House of Representatives and his deputy beside that story. Grim realities in Southeast as government dictates funeral terms. Fresh inflation concern as MPA raises 4 charges by 15%. Tinubu Gowon Mohammed chart paths to Africa's growth prosperity, while manufacturers warn federal government against new electricity tariff hike. PDP crisis, disciplinary committee invites Anyanwu Autumn as BOT directs NWC to swear in Ude Okoye. Cover on The Guardian. Hot IOC's divestment till environmental remediation is done, reps tell federal government. IOCs means international oil companies. Reps tell federal government to halt their divestment. Of course, is no longer news. The IOCs are divesting from Nigeria, moving away, because as the world talks about clean energy. However, reps tell federal government to halt their divestments till environmental remediation is done in where oil exploration is taking place. Still on Guardian newspaper, Nigeria records world's highest road accident, says Red Cross. This story is on page 7 of the Guardian. That takes us to the stories just beneath the masthead of the Guardian. Federal government swaps 6334 system education system with 124 model, scraps JSS SSS. Hours after matriculation, Abuja Varsity VC Governing Council sacked. Additional at 65, Tinubu Sanwo-Olu Abiodun Otedola brand AFDB President, Nigeria's best export. Indeed, congratulations to Additional. And it's on that note we conclude review of front headline stories today on the Guardian newspaper. Today, Friday, February 7th, 2025. Don't forget to log on to the website of the Guardian for more stories, www.guardian.ng. From the Guardian, we move over to the next paper on our menu this Friday, and that is The Punch. The Punch is looking at the developing story as reps push for more 31 states. The Punch says as National Assembly members groups fought reps 31 new states proposal. Senators insist focus should be on states' viability. Afenifere Pandef call for true federalism. These are riders to the leading story on The Punch as National Assembly members groups fought 31 new states proposal. And beneath that, Tinubu Mbeki Gowon advocate home growth solutions to Africa's challenges. PDP crisis, Ikimi's panel receives 30 petitions, summons Anyanwu Otom. Kaduna intervenes as NLC tackles disco for sacking 900 workers. Opposition plans unveiling of mega coalition June. And the same story on leadership, just like leadership, Vanguard, we have it also on the Punch newspaper. The ongoing battle between GHL and its chairman, publisher of THISDAY, and First Bank and its chairman, Otedola. It says Obagbena GHL file appeal against favorable High Court ruling. And lastly, on the cover of the Punch this Friday, fresh price hike looms as NPA plans 15% tariff increase. It's also on that note we conclude review of front headline stories today on the Punch newspaper. For more, log on to www.punchng.com. From the Punch, we move over to the next paper on our menu, and that is THISDAY. THISDAY says female genital mutilation violates rights, will end in menace, declares First Lady. Female genital mutilation violates rights, will end in menace, declares First Lady. Says 34 million Nigerian women gets at risk by 2030. Federal government discloses 19.9 million already affected, upscales obligation to end scourge. NHRC advocates strengthening of collaborations. The NHRC, it means National Human Rights Commission, advocates strengthening of collaborations. Elumelu says we've lifted over 2 million individuals out of poverty in Africa, talking about his Health Foundation. From there, we move over to the stories gradually towards the masthead of THISDAY. Showing on seriousness, House targets 67 states, proposes creation of additional 31. That is how THISDAY caption is on story. There is developing story on reps canvassing for 31 more states. THISDAY says showing on seriousness, House targets 67 states, proposes creation of additional 31. Let's just take a snippet from that story because it's actually raw on the cover of THISDAY. It says the House of Representatives Constitution Review Committee has proposed the creation of 31 additional states to the country's existing 36 state structure, bringing the new total to 67. This, however, was indication of the level of unseriousness of the committee's work, bearing in mind the current state of the 36 state structure, many of which are unviable and have to rely on federal allocation to support themselves. This is also in tandem with what the Guardian reported as his main lead. He said lawmakers push for 31 new states amid 11.47 trillion naira debt by existing ones, and that is what this day is also affirming on that leading story. Above that, Helen Press Ajayi's mother affirms daughter's marriage to late Tosin Ajayi. The story is on page 16 of this day. It's also a developing story. We also have a report of a doctor who passed away since 2020, and the story, his estate is actually still generating controversy between his former wife and the wife he married before he died. That is Helen Press Ajayi. From that, we move to the stories above the masthead of this day. MAN, that is Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. 2013 power sector privatization unfruitful. Operators lack technical financial capacity to deliver optimally. Decries incessant increases in electricity tariff. Says Nigeria requires 30,000 megawatts of electricity supply daily. Tinubu celebrates Fayemi at 60, Adesina at 65, Awoshemo at 70. The story is on page 34 of this day. It's also on that note we conclude review of front headline stories on this day's newspaper this Friday. Don't forget to log on to the website for more of these stories. Well, viewers, it's also on this note we conclude today's Inside Nigeria, brought to you on Leadership Television. Don't forget to join us on this same station for news on the hour. My name is Winifred Ogbebo. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last